Sunday, it was Game 4 from the Summit in Houston. The Rockets, after losing by 23 points the day before, got a remarkable performance from number 10, Mike Dunleavy. He had scored only 20 points in the previous 3 games, but he played the game of his life, scoring a career playoff high of 28 points. The Rockets came out at the start of the second half. They were aggressive. They had the ball for 1 minute and 15 seconds on a sequence of plays such as this. Before the day was over, they would have 28 offensive rebounds and take 29 more shots than Boston. It's been a physical series. As evidenced by this action, bodies have been all over the floor. Thus far, Houston has been shooting 32% from the field, and Boston, which set a team record for field goal percentage during the regular season, hasn't been over 50% in the series. Robert Reed has been spectacular on defense. He has held Larry Bird to 8 points in each of the last 2 games. While their shooting has dropped off, he came back in Game 4 with 19 points to go with 13 rebounds. And the Rockets have evened it up. And it's now down to a best 2 out of 3, as tonight is Game 5 from the Boston Garden.
Welcome to the NBA World Championship Series. Tonight, game number 5, the Houston Rockets visit the Boston Celtics. This CBS Sports Special is sponsored by Light Beer. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way. And by Blue Stratos, the spirit in you men's cologne and aftershave for the free spirit in man.
Welcome to Game 5 of the NBA World Championship Series. For the 30th consecutive time, we have a sellout in the Boston Garden. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. A lot of people prior to this series had conceded the title, the Boston Celtics, after that remarkable playoff series with Philadelphia. But it's proved to be an outstanding series. The Houston Rockets come on the road looking for their 9th win. They've already set an NBA playoff record, but they've had a tough time winning here. Through 14 years of playing in the Boston Garden, they've won here only 4 times. Of course, they won Game 2 here earlier, but they've never won 2 games in one season in the Boston Garden. Alongside me is Bill Russell, and before I bring in Bill Russell, I want to show you a quote by Moses Malone. Moses Malone said, "They ain't that good. I could get 4 guys off the street of Petersburg and beat this basketball team." And Bill Russell, I would think that Bill Fitch might have that up in the locker room somewhere to fire his Boston team out.
If he needs to do something like that, he's in real trouble. But I don't think that's quite so, that you get 4 guys off of Petersburg. Now, if he said San Francisco, maybe. And besides that, if there's guys that good in Petersburg, I think Bobby Knight better get down there and get some of those guys.
All right, other member of the broadcast team is Rick Barry. Rick, this has really been a physical series.
It certainly has, Gary. There's been a lot written in the newspaper about that fact and about the officiating and how they're letting things get out of hand. But the players have to disregard that. They have to adjust each and every time they step out there on the court to the way the game is being called. The team that's able to do that the best will be the team that winds up winning. And it seems that the team that controls their own defensive board and the team that takes better care of the basketball has been the team that's wound up winning these games, and that should be the case again here tonight.
Bill, what about Larry Bird? 8 points in each of the last 2 games.
Well, I think he's going to, it's going to be a thing with him and Robert Reed now. And somewhere along the line, he's got to prove that he can score on Robert Reed, because what has happened, they have let the Houston Rockets build up such confidence that they believe they can beat him. And the only way, they've got to change that psychologically. You see, they've got to make these guys say, oh, these are the Celtics that we were so worried about.
And that's where that quote comes in. And Moses Malone, he really has concerned Boston.
Well, Moses has been a real factor. The Boston people are a little bit upset by the fact that they haven't called 1 loose ball foul on Moses in 181 minutes of play. And so it'll be interesting to see how the officials handle that situation tonight. But I do think that Larry Bird will come out going against Reed, real offensive-minded. And Reed has a thigh that is bothering him. Got knee in the thigh, so he's not going to be in top form.
Okay, let's check the starting lineups for Game 5 here at the Boston Garden. The Houston Rockets. Robert Reed, Billy Fultz, Moses Malone, Mike Dunleavy, and Tom Henderson. They played only 6 players in the last game. Cedric Maxwell, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Tiny Archibald, and also Chris Ford, as Bill Fitch, his team, who's been so effective at home here, would like to continue that trend. Earl Earl Strom, along with Paul Mahalik and Joe Gashu. Earl Strom, this is his 200th NBA playoff game, and the only referee who worked more NBA playoff games was the late Mindy Rudolph, who officiated 270. And there is Moses Malone. Malone, the last time out with 24 points and 22 rebounds, and you can see that. 9 games, that is a record. Malone will go up against Parrish. Parrish avoided the foul difficulty in the last game after playing only 14 and 13 minutes in the previous 2 games. And the Celtics have it. The Boston Celtics at one stage this year won 28 straight at home. And before the year was over, they had a remarkable 35 and 6 at home record. That's going to be off of Cedric Maxwell. The Houston Rockets will have it.
And he came out, the Bird came out looking to be offensive-minded. It took a very difficult shot to begin with.
You've said, Bill Russell, so many times that Larry Bird can do other things. He doesn't need to score. But boy, they're going to have to get more than 8 points from him.
Well, he has to be careful is that people can goad him into playing a different game than he wants to play. And worried so much about points that too much other things that he does will suffer. He has to be careful about that. He has to decide how he's going to play.
That turnover against Houston at the other end. Robert Parrish. Parrish, who had 18 points and 5 block shots in the game Sunday.
And one thing the Tiny Archibald had not been doing a great deal in the last few games is penetrating into the middle like he just did on that last play. He has really been bothered by that thigh and also the ankle injury that he suffered against Philadelphia.
The thigh is giving him more trouble than the ankle, and it has really slowed him down. You see the thigh of Robert Reed. And they walk with it again, and that's 2 turnovers in a row against Houston.
When I visited the locker rooms before the game, went into the Boston locker room, Larry Bird was really studying the films, the tapes of the game, very intently, watching all of the moves that Robert Reed was making against him to try to learn some kind of a trick that he can pull to be more effective offensively.
Reed went into a real slump, hitting 2 of 18 in 2 games, then came back Sunday with 19. There's Archibald. And the Boston Celtics are off the mark effectively with a 4-0 lead.
I think that's the first time in any game that the Celtics have jumped off to a lead. It's usually been the Rockets who have pulled out ahead.
Archibald was struggling with his shooting. He's been in double figures in each game, but not up to his seasonal average. Mike Dunleavy. Rebound. Cedric Maxwell, and right now Boston's out of the shoot effectively. Parrish. 6-0. Del Harris is up. He may be asking for a timeout. He's over there motioning, trying to get this team started to get him on the scoreboard.
You see, Dell's going to want the timeout. He didn't like the shot that Mike Dunleavy took. He felt they didn't run their offense. They never gave Moses a chance to get the ball. The shot was a little bit too far out. He has certain rules and regulations that he likes to go by in his offense. We have a 20-second timeout that he's taking now to tell his team to get back into their game plan.
You know, the thing you wonder about, Bill Russell, is you play only 6 players Sunday. Now, of course, the other guys are going to be rested, but what about those 6? Is it going to be tough physically now? Is it going to start being a factor in this series?
The only factor it can be is if they have foul trouble. Fatigue in the playoffs is not a factor that you worry about because the adrenaline is flowing so much that is really not that important about fatigue. A guy that normally plays 30 minutes could play 40 to 45 minutes and not feel too adversity. But like I said, both teams have to be very careful as the playoffs progress and it becomes more and more of a media event. Their input comes from outside sources. And so you have to be very careful to guard against that. Like I said, with Larry Bird in the scoring or Robert Reed or guys worried about setting guys out, and you get things that don't have anything to do with winning become more important than they really are. You have to be careful to guard against that.
Mike Dunleavy, who took that shot a while ago that Rick Barry mentioned that did not please Del Harris. Billy Pulse, and Houston is on the board. Rick, very quickly, what are some of those rules that Del Harris had?
Well, he said if you have the break, take it, but he's got to be 100%. He doesn't want them trying to be too creative off the break. If not, get the ball down there. If you have the opportunity shot, you can take it. Otherwise, look to get it into Mo and then run the clock down, and the first guy who gets a good shot after that, who's inside of 18 feet, then you take the shot. And that's the way he likes to have his team operate.
Billy Pulse committing a personal foul, and the Boston Celtics now have asked for a timeout. 9:43 to go in this first period. The Celtics have jumped up to a 6-2 lead in the early going. We'll be bringing you Game 6. That's Thursday from the Summit in Houston. We'll return there. Another sellout crowd as the Celtics against the Houston Rockets. As we're all even right now, 2 games each, as we're just started here in Game 5. Cedric Maxwell against Pulse. Parrish reaches over Moses Malone. Rebound Pulse. Billy Pulse brings it down, and you can see that already Boston has been much more effective on the boards than they were in the game Sunday. Tom Henderson, who had 9 assists in that game. He had only 2 points. But what a role he played. Moses Malone inside. Malone is the kind of guy, Bill, everything funnels around him.
Well, you know what makes him such an outstanding player?
Are plays like that.
or not so much that he's much bigger or stronger, but he goes out to make things happen. And the rest of the guys on the opposing team especially react to him. And sometimes when you do a good job on him, all you're able to accomplish is to make him react to you somewhat.
As opposed to a Bird who adjusts his game.
Right.
Out it comes to Parrish. Mike Dunleavy with the rebound. It's all even 6-6. Dunleavy, Archibald gets in to pick up on the dribble. Dunleavy took only 3 shots in game number 3, then came back to score those 28 points in game 4. Reed to Malone. That basket will count, and he's fouled, and they're getting the ball inside to the big guy.
That was a good pass by Robert Reed. He went up like he was going to take the jumper. He just hit one prior to that. That got the defense to be aware of his shot. You can see they watch him. Robert Parrish then turned his head. Moses wisely kept an eye on him. There was the push. Then he lays it in the basket. That's an excellent play on the part of Moses Malone because, again, the ball was not shot. It wasn't in the air on the way to the basket, and you should always expect a pass in that situation, which he did. Nice play. Here's the previous basket by Malone. Bird just a little late going over to help out. He puts it down on the floor, has the inside position, lays it in easily.
Parrish with his first foul of the game. Chris Ford. The battle is on. You can see how tough it is. They're going to jump it up. Right now, Houston has run off 8 straight points to jump out to this 8-6 lead. So after Boston started moving well, they've had a couple of shots just go in and come right back out on them.
You know, I've watched in this series, and I think that 3/4 of the time, the guy that gets the jump, the other team is coming with the ball.
Let's watch it and see. All right, Malone got it. Well, this time his teammate got it. Mike Dunleavy, a hard-nosed, very, very courageous player. He's played with intelligence. What a performance he had the last time out. Henderson, he's the only member of any one of these teams that's ever played in the championship finals before. And Malone has walked to the ball. That's 3 turnovers now against the Rockets. And that'll turn it back to the Boston Celtics.
Well, if they can keep Moses out that far away from the basket with the ball, they're certainly going to be a lot better off than having him catch it down in deep in the pivot.
Tiny Archibald off to Larry Bird. Reed trying to stay with him. And we're going to have a foul on Robert Reed. That might be some of the difficulty Reed will experience with a bruised thigh. He lost his footing.
Well, we'll see the play coming up now. Here's Reed. Moves up on Bobby Joe. He just committed himself a little bit. He went a little bit too far. He overstrode with his right foot. And he slipped somewhat, and Bird was able to get by him, and he grabbed onto him to commit the foul.
Second team foul. First foul on the man known as Bobby Joe Reed in the state of Texas. Here is Parrish. Reed. Maxwell, he's fouled. Dunleavy with a foul, and now a chance for a 3-point play.
Well, Robert Parrish having a difficult time getting the ball to drop from him. He's just missed his last 3 shots. There you see the battle for position on the last play. Bird battling along with Robert Reed. Reed got the ball, but he couldn't control it. Tipped it to Maxwell, and from behind it was Dunleavy reaching in to commit the foul. Basket good. Maxwell at the line.
This guy you're looking at right now will be our halftime feature. Bill Russell visited with him earlier today. Very interesting interview. Cedric had a playoff career high of 24 points in that game Sunday. And now it's 9-8. Cedric, a very intelligent young man who played collegiately at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. He played against Rick Roby in the NIT Finals one year. Reed looking good in the early going. 10-9, Houston. Robert Reed seemingly has gotten his offensive show back together. Maxwell, beautiful move by Cornbread.
Yeah, he throws him. Look like he's going to pull up and take a jump shot. And he got the defense to come up a little bit. And then he continued on. It was a hesitation move. Real good move.
A surprisingly quick move for a man his size, and he really caught Billy Pulse that time.
Maxwell has had all good games except for game 2 when he had 6 points. Billy Paltz for that jumper that's been deadly. And Paltz makes it 12-11 in this seesaw affair here in the first period. We have 6.5 minutes remaining in it. There's Archibald. That's what Tiny does so well. But Houston cut that off. They cut the path off on Sunday.
Now, what Houston has done is with changing their lineup and changing their style of play, so to speak. They have goaltending is called. What they have done, they've strengthened themselves in certain places, but they weaken themselves in other places. And so the Celtics will be able to do different things than they were in the other games.
We have a timeout with 6:13 to go in this first period. That goaltending call giving the Rockets a 14-13 lead.
CBS Sports Saturday. Undefeated Boom Boom Mancini continues his quest for the WBC Lightweight Championship as he faces the number 10 ranked WBC contender Jorge Morales. CBS Sports Saturday.
It all begins at 4 o'clock on CBS Sports Saturday. The Colonial Invitational from Fort Worth. Bruce Slitsky has a chance to pick up some cash.
Yeah, he sure does. If you win those 2 tournaments in Texas, the Texas Bonanza, he just won the Byron Nelson. He'll pick up an additional $200,000. Not too shabby.
And Boom Boom Mancini against Jorge Morales in a lightweight bout. Morales, the North American Boxing Federation lightweight champion. That goaltending call a while ago, Parrish really got up high on Tom Henderson.
Well, what happened, he was thrown off a little bit because the whistle was blown on the drive, and he probably felt the play was dead, but the continuation rule was in effect, and the ball was definitely coming down. It was a good call.
6 minutes remaining now in this first period. Larry Bird. Bird is hit 6 for 22 in the last 2 games. Hitting that one for his first 2 of this night. 15-14 Boston. We've had now 8 lead changes. 1 tie thus far. Malone inside. Now wait a minute. Mahalik indicating an elbowing call that time.
It's on Mike Dunleavy.
Dunleavy committing a personal foul. That's his second already. The 3rd team foul now against the Houston Rockets. Archibald almost palmed the basketball. Here's Bird, broken up by Reed and out of bounds. And now Calvin Murphy getting ready to come in. Murphy didn't even play Sunday.
There you see the play by Bird. He gets by Reed on the baseline. When he goes up for the jumper, he pulls the ball back over his head to get into the shooting position. Reed was right there to knock it away.
Archibald got loose. Murphy was caught on a pick that time, and Archibald has started very effectively. He has 6 points. 17-14.
A few minutes ago, I alluded to the fact that the Houston is playing a different. They have upped the tempo. They're not slowing the ball down as much as they were the first 3 games.
Reed to Billy Paltz. Bird staying on him. Back to Reed. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Billy Paltz with that hook of his. Cedric Maxwell with a rebound. Out to Archibald. Tiny at 32. Off to his backcourt mate who's also 32 years of age. Maxwell. And Cedric has another 2 points. He has 7. 19-14, the biggest lead of the game now for the Boston Celtics.
And the biggest difference is Celtics are doing a better job on the defensive boards. Paltz missed. They got the rebound, turned it into a break and a layup.
Well, that's what Houston has to guard against.
Beautiful pass by Henderson, and Malone is fouled. Cedric Maxwell, I believe, has come away with it.
So you have a continual...
Here to see Moses with the ball. Larry Bird tries to get good position. Looked like Moses might have walked. There was Maxwell picking up the foul, but we couldn't see his feet. It was hard to tell.
What you have is a continual pulling on both teams trying to impose the game that they want to play. And as the game progresses, Boston's going to try to pull Houston up to pick the pace up even more, and Houston's going to be certainly trying to slow it down. And the key to each team has got to be the defensive boards.
Well, Dunleavy got off to a shaky start, so Del Harris got him out of there, putting Calvin Murphy in. First time in his career, Murphy was suited up for a game and wasn't playing. That occurred on Sunday. Beautiful pass by Bird to Chris Ford and Larry Bird, who led all forwards this year. An assist, comes up with another one.
Well, that was a mistake by the Houston defense. Both men went out to Bird. They didn't communicate very well. That left Ford open. He wisely cut to the basket. Good pass. Malone almost made the block, but he was a little late.
Here's Calvin Murphy, who's been cold, 7 of 23 in the last few games. He thought he was fouled on that play. Archibald off to Maxwell. The fast break is underway. 23-15. Parrish now with 6 points, and you can see the sellout crowd is happy. The Boston Celtics are up and moving.
Celtics by far, Bill, I think playing their best basketball so far in the playoffs. They've really come out ready to go. They've got the break running. They run off 10-1 now against the Rockets to get back in the lead.
That was after the Rockets had scored 8 straight. Bird, Maxwell, both have a piece of the basketball. They're on their horse again. Maxwell broken up by Billy Pulse. Moses Malone up to Tom Henderson. Here's Calvin Murphy. And Murphy on a power move. He misses. Off it goes to Bird.
Now, that was a bad shot on Murphy's part in that.
That basket will not
They got
count.
a racehorse game with the Celtics, and they don't want to do that.
And again, a nice play. You saw Bird make the super pass to Robert Parrish. He went in strong to the basket and picked up the foul against Malone.
We had a little confrontation in the backcourt between Chris Ford and Calvin Murphy. A little pushing and shoving. Some of the intensity that we've had throughout this championship series.
I think someone better tell Chris Ford that could be a very dangerous thing to do.
First foul of the game now. Moses Malone, 4 team fouls against the Houston Rockets. Robert Parrish now has 7 points, as does Cedric Maxwell. Archibald was 6. This guy has had some frustrating times in the championship series, but he really bounced back on Sunday. 25-15, a 10-point lead now. 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go, first period, and Houston is asked for another timeout. The Rockets struggling after a spurt there of 8 straight. A fast break. The Celtics, who run it as well as anybody in the NBA, have bumped it up to a 10-point lead at the 3:14 mark. Here's a preview of what you'd expect at halftime. Bill Russell, in an interview with Cedric Maxwell. We mentioned a moment ago that Calvin Murphy and Chris Ford were kind of going after each other. And in that interview, Bill talks about how these teams, they might be friends off the floor, but once they get on here, they don't like each other very much. And the rebound feature, Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain, and then Bill and Rick will be along with highlights of the first half.
He didn't like anybody to call him Stilt.
The Stilt, I'm sorry, Wilt Chamberlain.
Mr. Chamberlain to you.
I call Mr. Russell.
And to most other people. I heard a story one time. Somebody asked him what the weather was like up there, and Wilt grabbed them, picked them up to eye level, and said, "See for yourself," and then let them go.
I bet the air was very thin up there, wasn't it?
I don't know.
25-15. 10-point lead for Boston. Reed tipped out by Parrish to Larry Bird, and Robert Parrish has really been a tower of strength in this early going.
I'll repeat what I said in one of the earlier games. Robert Parrish is probably the best rebounding center that the Rockets have played in this playoff.
He just hasn't been around a lot. He's been in foul trouble so much. Maxwell tries to follow, and Calvin Murphy with the rebound.
Now you see the Rockets throwing it up. Because they get in their racehorse game, they're out of their element.
And yet, though, Sunday, Bill, when they picked it up a little bit, it was kind of effective for a while.
Well, they didn't pick it all the way up. And then when they picked it up, it was a different style they were using.
Here's Moses Malone. He almost lost it, and he did.
One thing's been so different in this game, Bill. In the game on Sunday, it was 5 inside baskets in the whole first quarter only for the Celtics. They only got 9 shots inside. They already have 9 baskets inside that 12-foot area here in this ball game. The Rockets with 6.
Bill Willoughby now has checked in. You see the Rockets, who really kept the turnovers to a minimum on Sunday, while the Celtics had 22, have 5 already. Robert Parrish, boy, does he get that ball with a high arch on it. 27-15, a 12-point lead, double figures now for Robert Parrish.
You know, Bill, I don't think even you could have blocked that shot. 7 foot, shoot it that high.
That'll start to rain. There's a steal attempt by Chris Ford. Willoughby dribbling up. People thought he double dribbled, but Willoughby at the left-handed hook. And we're going to have a foul on Willoughby.
Silly foul. It's going to be called loose ball, however, but it will be the penalty situation, so Parrish will go to the free throw line. The reason everybody was yelling, Gary, is that Willoughby came so close to getting the ball and stepping back over the half-court line, which would have been a violation, but he never did put his foot down. It was actually over the line, but he never touched the floor.
Now, this is one of the things that the problems that Dale Harris, the coach of Houston, had. To use this lineup in this style of game, it's a borderline situation most times where we can keep them under control. He wants to play a controlled game, and they're very effective with a controlled game. But he's up the tempo, and with this personnel he's using the way he's using now in the last few games, it's very difficult to keep it under control.
He's made adjustment after adjustment throughout the playoffs. And right now, Boston has things going their way. They've outscored Houston now 16-1. Tom Henderson, Boston with 15 straight. And here's Earl Strom indicating the foul. Going through all kinds of antics as Bill Fitch looks on.
Robert Parrish.
That's going to be 2 on Robert Parrish. That is now the 4th team foul against the Celtics. So Fitch, the last time, got Parrish out of there in a hurry when he picked up these fouls, but maybe he thinks he's stabilized. There's Willoughby trying to step it in. Parrish with a shot clock. Parrish had 5 of those on Sunday. Archibald to Cedric Maxwell. Reed has fouled him in a basket, will count. And right now, the Boston Celtics are showing why they had the best record in basketball this year.
That was just an incredible block. Here goes Willoughby. He gathers himself up to go up real strong. Parrish goes up, gets the basketball. Perfect block. Look at Willoughby. He has so much momentum going. He just gets knocked back onto his backside. And their Celtics are off, and they get a break situation. And Tiny down the other end made a great pass. Looked like he was going to shoot the jumper. Saw Maxwell underneath. He faked Reed. Reed went up in the air. He drew the foul, laid it in the basket.
Cedric Maxwell. Penalty, and he'll have another free throw coming. Maxwell now has 9 points. I don't think Boston's looked this good in any of the playoffs.
No, they haven't. As I pointed out just a little earlier, Gary, I think they're playing the best basketball so far in this playoffs. And they're doing it because they're controlling the defensive boards. As Bill and I pointed out before, they have to do that. And they're taking care of that basketball. And they really have caused some problems for the Rockets. And the Rockets are going to have to shut them down, get themselves into the point where they run their offense and start scoring a few easy buckets, because a team that plays the way the Rockets plays, it's tough to make up 17 points.
18 straight points now by the Boston Celtics. You saw the full court pressure. Houston expected that, and they got it. Here's Robert Reed. Archibald trying to reach in on him. Rebound, Willoughby. Willoughby hands it off to Malone. Reed has it, and that's the tenacity that this team showed in Sunday's game, and now makes it 32-17.
That's the kind of offensive rebounding that they had as Moses Malone knocks the ball out of bounds that they had in the game on Sunday, and why they were able to win, even though they shot such a poor percentage. They got so many more shots, and I was just amazed at the end of 3 quarters they had taken 34 more shots Sunday than the Celtics. That's an incredible statistic.
And they ended up with 29 for the game. They only shot 36% from the field. Larry Bird blocked that time by Willoughby. Nice play. Off to Henderson. Calvin Murphy. Archibald back, but Calvin takes it in. And now Houston trying to climb back in it. Trailing 32-19. You see it. 30 seconds left in this first period.
That's the type of plays that you need to get back in. Good defense by Willoughby. They turned it into a breakaway layup, and those kind of breaks Del Harris will take.
To think they've won only 4 times here in the Boston Garden in 14 years. One of those, of course, coming in game 2. Chris Ford. Boy, he and Murphy are really going after each other. 34-19. Chris Ford now with 4 points. Last seconds now of the first period. Malone, and that's going to end our first 12 minutes. And the Boston Celtics have been impressive. They lead it 34-19. This CBS Sports Special will continue after this word from your local station.
I was a kid, playing basketball came naturally. Basketball comes harder to kids who are mentally retarded. But with the right training, they can learn almost anything. Foul. Foul, you fouled it. When they do, these special children become Special Olympians. The NBA supports Special Olympics. Why don't you? Please volunteer your time or money.
The preceding message has been furnished as a public service by the National Basketball Association.
With Rick Barry and Bill Russell, I'm Gary Bender. It's interesting to note, gentlemen, that 34 points scored in this first period. You realize that in Sunday's game, Boston scored only 37 the entire second half. So they really played well in the early going.
You know what's kind of important? You know, before the game, everyone's been talking about in the 2 cities, Houston and Boston, about Larry Bird getting a lot of points. And he didn't get any more points the first quarter than normal, than he's been getting. But the point is that Robert Parrish and Maxwell were able to get off and have an outstanding first quarter. And if Bird had overreacted and tried to prove something individually, what he could do with Reed, then these two guys may not have been able to get off nearly as well as they were able to get off in the first quarter.
You see Parrish on the bench. That's a good point because Bird only has 2 points in this first quarter of play. Level is fouled that time by Archibald. So Alan Level is checked in now for Houston. Rick Roby has come in for Robert Parrish. Archibald with his second personal foul. Here's Level. He didn't play in Sunday's game either. Only 6 men. They call them the Magnificent Six. But tonight, they've gone to the bench early. Malone. There's Maxwell again along with Bird. Maxwell's all over the place. Archibald will bring it up as we just started this second period of play. The Boston Celtics with 34 points in that first period. Larry Bird. Rebound, Malone, and Malone rips it down. In that first period, both Parrish and Maxwell in double figures. Parrish with 12, Maxwell with 10. Level had that big shot that won a game earlier in the series. Rick Roby off to Archibald. Tiny blocked from behind by Level. And I'll tell you, Tiny's hurting. He just wasn't moving well on that play at all. Calvin Murphy. Tiny just didn't get down there very well at all.
I'll tell you one thing. Don't underestimate the speed of Alan Level. I've seen him make that play. I saw him actually make it 3 different times last year against guys who are just as quick. And he has tremendous speed. And I will agree that Tiny was not himself. But Alan Level made a great play.
He was really grimacing that time. Looked like he was in a little bit of pain, as he has been. Into Larry Bird. Bird to Roby. Broken up by Calvin Murphy. And this is what we've seen the entire series. Look at the scramble for the ball.
Well, one thing I'd like to know on that play, I guess they didn't want anybody to get hurt. That ball was never in possession of anyone. There weren't 2 players with their hands on it at the same time, and yet we have a jump ball. So I guess the officials don't want things to get out of hand.
Roby will jump it up, and they're going to pick Robert Reed to go against him. 34-21. 10:49 to go until half. At halftime, Bill with Cedric Maxwell, Wilt Chamberlain a feature and highlight. There's a 3-pointer by Chris Ford. Maxwell with the rebound. Maxwell up with it. He's fouled. The foul will go on Willoughby.
I'll tell you what, Chris Ford walked on that play. He grabbed the ball, saw that his feet weren't in there. He moved both feet to get him behind the 3-point line, and they never called walking.
Well, you can't call walking when you go away from the basket, Bird.
I couldn't believe what I was watching there for a second.
Well, Chris Ford has had some success as far as the 3-pointers are concerned. But he's
again,
2 for 7.
Cedric Maxwell, the man of the hour so far, is doing a fine job. And ever since Game 2, when he said he wasn't ready psychologically to play, he's really been a factor in these games. Now watch the pass coming out here. There's Ford. Now watch him. He sees his feet there. What? Right foot, left foot. Now shoot it. Can't do that.
He's playing horse out there. You don't have to dribble the ball then. Cedric Maxwell now makes it 36-21. Maxwell with 12 points. He and Parrish tied now for the scoring honors. At Boston, 34-point performance in the first quarter was the high of this championship series for the Celtics. Calvin Murphy broken up. Bird comes up. Another turnover. Archibald to Maxwell. Cedric Maxwell with 14 points. In the turnover category, 7 now against Houston. Timeout by the Rockets. And the Rockets right now have run into a buzzsaw in this first half of play. The Celtics playing like the Atlantic Division champions that they are, the team that won 62 and lost 20 this year. We mentioned earlier there was a play. Archibald had a shot blocked by Alan Level. And Rick, we want to show this.
Well, here comes Level. Look at the great hustle on his part. Now watch, the ball will not touch the glass, and Alan touches it there and brings it to the glass. That is permissible. If the ball had hit the glass first and then Alan Level had touched it, it would have been goaltending.
Very interesting shot from behind the backboard. The Rockets trailing 38-21, 10-12 to go until halftime.
Now, what the Rockets are going to have to do is try to get that lead down to 10 or less at halftime. And so they're going to have to...
Calvin Murphy having a little footing difficulty against Chris Ford. That's kicked out of bounds by Ford.
It's a violation. They get a new 24 seconds. Anytime there's a violation like 3 seconds or kicking the ball like that, then they get the new 24.
That helped because the Rockets had only 4 seconds on the shot clock.
You were right. 3 seconds get 24.
The other team.
The other team.
All right. Calvin Murphy. Bird is there, and you didn't see any red shirts around that board. 38-21. Broken up. It'll still be the Celtics basketball.
Now, that looks like a bad pass, but that was a good try. You should do that. What Tiny Archibald did then. He didn't get the pass through, but when the guy's running, you got to try to get to him. If you don't, you kind of discourage the guy to run all the time.
That was Maxwell open, and he beat Moses down the court. That's why he was so wide open, and the pass had gone through. He had to dump it.
5 seconds on the shot clock, and Tiny tries one. Roby tries to follow Willoughby with a rebound, and we're going to have a foul on Roby.
Well, he had to call that. What happened, Roby went after Willoughby when he got the rebound, and he gave him a little push, and Willoughby started to go out of bounds. Well, there's no more force out in the NBA. Here you'll see Willoughby with the ball. Now watch Roby give him a little push, throws him off balance, so he has to call a foul in that situation.
Backcourt is that. 2 shots.
Archibald, Bill Fitch, there's Maxwell. He's smiling. I don't think that smile is a genuine smile at this particular stage.
Oh, it is now. You having the kind of a game he's had so far. You got a lot to smile about out there. So far.
Thus far, Boston has played 6 players. Houston has come in with 8. Complete reversal on Sunday.
Well, I asked Bill Fitch about that, and he said it reminded the one game that Boston won against Philly last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. He had played 5 men the majority of the time and only brought one person in to give the other guys a little bit of a rest. So coaches will do that at this stage of the season. You got to win the game.
38-22. Look at those game-leading totals by Cornbread Maxwell, our halftime feature. Roby with a left-hand hook. Boy, he likes to use that left hand. He's not afraid of it.
And both of the Boston centers are trying to make Malone work on defense. That's one of the things they want to do.
And thus far, they've done everything about right. 40-22. Reed to Willoughby. And a foul. It's going to be Roby picking up the foul. That's his second, so he's picked up 2 in a hurry. He's been in some foul difficulty, as has Parrish, as they tried to stay with Moses Malone. Level blocked from behind by Maxwell. Maxwell's doing it all. Tiny Archibald to Roby, and the fast break is moving.
And again, turnovers, missed shots. The Celtics are playing the type of game that's necessary for them to get their game in high gear. They're controlling the defensive boards. They didn't do it on Sunday. They're also causing the Rockets to make some turnovers.
Biggest lead of the game, 20 points, 42-22. Might remember that game they lost on Saturday. They trailed early in that one by 17. But Moses Malone now cuts it back to 18. Stolen by Calvin Murphy. Calvin Murphy. He's got to be well rested after sitting on the bench the entire Sunday. Robert Reed, Malone follow tips. 4 points in a hurry. One thing about this Houston club, they've been counted out before, and they'll come fighting back. And they've got an uphill struggle now. Gerald Henderson getting ready to check in now for the Boston Celtics. Larry Bird, Reed behind him, partially blocked. Roby has it, and he walked to the ball.
And I'll tell you, Larry Bird was bothered by Robert Reed on that play. He had that one shot blocked when he went by him before, and he was thinking about him. He never brought the ball back to his proper shooting position and came up short with it.
Just got to get a lot of credit as you look at Henderson coming into Robert Reed. He has stuck on him tough. He's held him to 8 points in each of the last 2 games. He was shooting 6 for 22 from the field in the last 2 games. You just don't shut down Larry Bird. You might 1 game, but not 2 back-to-back, and now he's trying to do it 3 in a row. Malone, 6 straight points now. 42-28. This team from Texas has been very determined this year, very gritty, and right now they're going after it again.
Well, you don't give up. You get this far, you don't give up. They didn't make it this far by being a quitting team.
Ford off to Roby. Roby, that left hand again, partially blocked by Malone, and the Rockets have it again. They can cut it to 10. Make that 12 points after being down by 20. Robert Reed, you see the heavily typed thigh. He sustained that injury late in the game Sunday. Robert Parrish getting ready to check back in for the Celtics. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Reed in trouble. To Willoughby, broken up the quick hands. Look at Roby. Roby with the foul. That's his 3rd.
Well, I'll tell you, and that's a situation. 2 players dove for the ball at the same time. Roby turned this back into Murphy. You see Murphy laying down on the floor.
Nick Vandervoort over there. Roby's a big man, and he went after the ball. He weighs 235 pounds. Murphy weighs 165. You know what the end result's going to be every time.
Well, as I say, it was a situation that's anybody's ball, and Roby happened to get there first and then crashed into Murphy. There's the ball knocked away. Now watch Roby. Here's Murphy coming. Here goes Roby. He dives. Murphy dives. They both go for it, and he got the better of it, and they call the foul in that situation. I question that one.
Roby picked up 3 fouls in about 2 minutes of play. The New Orleans, Louisiana native looking over to see if Murphy's all right. Calvin shaking it up.
Now, if he can't shoot the free throws, if they are free throws, no. No, they won't get free throws. They're going to say, if that was a shooting foul, because they're not a penalty yet, I don't think. No, they're not.
No, I'm going to have 4.
If he couldn't shoot it, then he couldn't play anymore.
And he may be in a little difficulties. They look at his shoulder. We have a timeout.
CBS Sports Saturday. Defending champion Bruce Litsky tries to make it 2 in a row as he joins Masters champion Tom Watson among those expected to compete in the Colonial National Invitation. Plus, undefeated Boom Boom Mancini continues his quest for the WBC lightweight crown as he faces the number 10 ranked WBC contender Jorge Morales on CBS Sports Saturday.
Golf and the 1981 Masters champion Tom Watson will be there, and Boom Boom Mancini, he's undefeated, 18 wins with 14 knockouts. Just before we went away, we looked at Calvin Murphy. Let's look at what happened during that timeout.
As Dr. Charles Baker, the team physician, touched his shoulder. Looked like that bone right that you have on top of your shoulder there. He got hit when he crashed into Roby, and that could be very painful, but Murph's in there.
That's the first team foul against the Boston Celtics in the second period. It was the third foul on Rick Roby. And Roby is out of there. Robert Parrish has replaced him. M.L. Carr has also checked in for the Celtics. Level of the quickness against Henderson, and Henderson commits the foul. 2 very quick performers against each other on that play.
Well, that was a silly foul right there on the part of Henderson. He had Level going to his left, which is the way to send him, and he had to take a very difficult shot. In that case, don't bail the man out. Make him put the tough shot in the basket.
The Rockets trying to battle back now with 6 straight points. The shot by Level now makes it 7 straight, 42-29. Alvin Level now with his first point and second point of the night. After being down by 20, they've come back within 12. 42-30, 6:47 to go, first half. Henderson in 3 of these games has been in double figures for the Boston Celtics. Larry Bird still with 2 points. Robert Parrish. Parrish just been sensational in his shooting. He has 14 points. Both he and Maxwell now with game-high honors.
Well, he and Maxwell have almost scored as many as the Rockets, I think. They got 28 between them.
Billy Paltz will check back in for Houston at the first opportunity. Moses Malone, the double team on him, and he walked with it.
He couldn't put it on the floor because once he got control of the ball, the weak side help was there, so that he couldn't even put it on the floor. So he did take steps, although they were little ones.
And the littlest man on that Rocket team, Calvin Murphy, now will sit down.
And they've gone to the big lineup with Robert Reed now playing in the backcourt. His assignment is M.L. Carr.
And that's a pretty good matchup, 6'6" against 6'8". Larry Bird. Willoughby trying to stay tough on him, and Bird takes him in, and there's a foul. So Reed is off of him, and Bird may start going to work now. Willoughby committing the foul, and he now has 3 personal fouls. Both he and Roby in some foul difficulty. Boy, Bird wasted no time when he found out Reed wasn't on him. Here's Bird with 2 points. Larry Bird, I watched him in practice this morning. He was shooting around the horn, trying to get that shot back. He feels, Bill, he's been rushing his shot too much. Not taking his time.
Sometimes makes you either slow it down or speed it up.
I tell you, this whole ball club, Boston, prior to tonight, has been having a tough time getting their offensive rhythm. We have seen tonight some of that rhythm coming back. 46-30. After cutting it down to 12, they bumped it back up to 16. Here's Calvin Garrett.
But so far, the first 6 minutes of this second period, though, it's been Houston Rocket type basketball.
They have controlled the tempo. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Level. Long ways out. Maxwell with another rebound. Henderson. Larry Bird. Tenant for Gerald Henderson. Calvin Garrett has it. After Robert Reed, turnovers, that's 5 against Boston, 8 against the Houston Rockets. Billy Paltz, look at M.L. Carr. We have a jump ball. Carr from behind got a piece of it, and they'll jump it up.
Now, I think what happened there was a quick whistle. And then he couldn't call a foul, so he called a jump ball because he blown the whistle to stop the action. Because the ball, if he hadn't blown the whistle, the ball would still been alive. But that's a good call.
Tom Henderson comes in. Level checks out. 6'11" against 6'6". Kind of a spike shot that time by Billy Paul. And the Rockets have it. 5:22 to go. Second period. Reed trying to use the screen by Malone. Henderson again. Bird jumps out on him. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Double team on Reed. And a foul. Earl Strom indicating that. Let's go back to that previous play.
Well, what happens is Billy Paultz comes down as the trailer, gets the ball. Now look, ML Carr comes over. Paultz never sees him. Goes up with a shot. Right there, they hit the floor, Bill. That's what happened. They hit the floor with Carr's hand on the ball, and there's Earl Strom, who had his hand up already for the jump ball.
That foul was on Cornbread, his second.
Again, the Celtics are playing real tough defense. The Rockets couldn't get a shot. They couldn't get into Malone, and they had the shot clock down, and Cedric got called for the foul, reaching in to try and double on Reed.
Reed, during the playoffs, has struggled some at the free throw line. He was an excellent free throw shooter during the regular season. 46-31. Right now, you get the feeling, Bill, that Houston's playing a little more comfortably. As you said earlier, they weren't really under control.
The Boston got up to jump out on him and really had control of the tempo.
Bird on a power move. Out to Maxwell. To Bird.
Excellent pass. Both those passes, the one to Maxwell and the one back to Bird.
Bird now has scored 4 points since Reed's been out of there. 6 for the game. Henderson against Henderson. Here comes Parrish. He lost it.
He should have given that ball up to Gerald Henderson, who was right next to him, and then taken off down the floor on his own. A man 7 feet tall is not supposed to be handling the ball, but Bill, you know, you told me before, when you're out that far, sometimes the air is light and you kind of lose your head, right?
He's only going to dribble it once.
Oh.
That's 9 turnovers. Almost 10 against Houston. Garrett for Robert Reed. Reed is open. Maxwell, you saw him fly by and head to the other end. Good time by Parrish. And we have a foul.
It's a backcourt then. It's a backcourt foul then. I don't think Carr had enough time to make the full turn. And you have to give a guy enough room to make a full turn.
That's on Robert Reed, and that'll be his third. Reed in foul difficulty.
There's the play again. The rebound comes off. ML Carr takes it, turns. He's only started to take the first step, and Reed was already there. Got called for the block.
Boy, Parrish, you said it earlier, Bill. He is playing very, very well in this game.
Well, he's so happy to get a chance to play. Got the first couple of games, he was out there so quick.
Well, during the course of the year, Parrish was 4th in the NBA block shots, averaging just a little over 2.5 a game. He had 5 blocks on Sunday, and he's headed for another big day in that department. Carr at the line. 48-30, make that 49-32 in favor of the Celtics. 4:26 to go until halftime.
Now, Rockets in order to get back in the game and make it really tough, they've got to try to get it down under 10.
Dunleavy has checked in to try to do that. To Moses Malone, back to Dunleavy. They respect him, and he's fouled. Like Dunleavy, after scoring those 28 points, they're not letting him have an open shot.
And Cedric Maxwell picks up the foul again. Cedric got caught coming out. Dunleavy goes by him. Ball was knocked away by ML Carr. And if there was ever a foul, it had to be Carr because Cedric didn't even touch the man.
But it is against Cornbread. Dunleavy at the line. Young man, a Brooklyn, New York native. He was drafted by Philadelphia. In fact, that year that he was taken late. 6th round. The 99th player taken. He was cut when they made the rule that the rosters would be whittled down to 11 players, and Houston, as an end result, came away for the veteran. Maxwell tries to follow. Parrish outside to Carr. Boston much more aggressive on the boards. Here's Parrish with 14 points in the game. Back to ML Carr. He's at 3-point range. Making his move. Dunleavy trying to the foul, but to no avail. Nobody was convinced on that one. Carr now with his first field goal. He has 3 points in the game. 51-33. Boston has been held below 100 points in each one of these games. Already now is over halfway to that mark. Dunleavy blocked by Carr. Bird to Henderson. Gerald Henderson, and there's some of that cheerleading you'll see from Chris Ford, an enthusiastic supporter from the bench. This Boston team is something right now. Adele Harris has called timeout. They're going to have to regroup somehow.
Here is the play coming up again. The ball goes back to Dunleavy. He goes for the shot. Carr times it perfectly. Bird gets the ball back off to Henderson. Henderson just outruns Mike Dunleavy, lays it in the basket, and the Celtics are off and running again, and they've got that big 20-point lead.
Cedric Maxwell with 14 points in the first half, and at halftime, Bill Russell sits down with Cornbread in a very interesting interview. And Wilt Chamberlain, we'll watch him in action as we go back in time, and highlights, which right now are all Boston, will be at halftime as Bill and Rick will discuss them. They're back to that 20-point lead that they had earlier. Houston has committed 15 turnovers in this game.
Well, you know, Rick said the team that holds onto the ball and controls the defensive board is usually won.
You guys have been right a couple of times in this series. Moses Malone cuts it back to 18. Malone now with 13. He's high point man now for Houston. 53-35, inside 3 minutes remaining. This capacity crowd for the 30th straight time enjoying the Celtics play. Tipped up that time and in.
Cedric Maxwell just having a great game.
Maxwell was 16. He had 24 Sunday. And he just drove Philadelphia crazy in that playoff series. After that disappointing second game, look at him. Pick up Calvin Garrett. Here's Moses Malone. Boston really hustling on defense. Billy Palter just flying around out there now. Rebound, Parrish. Off to ML Carr. Dunleavy is back. Calvin Garrett reaches in. It'll be Boston's ball.
Now what happened is that Carr saw Bird on the wing. When Carr looked to the left, Larry slowed down just a little bit. Calvin Garrett busted down the court. Good hustle on his part to knock the pass away.
Garrett's an excellent defensive player. You see the shooting statistics, 33%, but that's been indicative of Houston the entire series. They're just not getting enough shots like they did on Sunday. Out it comes to Maxwell, to Henderson. 2:10 left until half.
Well, this time the shooting percentage is going to hurt them again because they're not getting the offensive rebounds they had in the game on Sunday.
They had 28 on Sunday. Robert Parrish, ML Carr, Dunleavy is called for the foul. There's a guy that just has infectious enthusiasm, ML Carr.
Well, you see, he got the inside position on Mike Dunleavy. There he is, battling position. Dunleavy goes up over his back, commits the foul. ML had an easy lay-in, so it saved him 2 points.
Boy, Dunleavy struggling tonight. He has 1 point and 3 fouls. Not anywhere close to what he had Sunday. There's Malone with a big block. Dunleavy falls, and a foul on ML Carr. Carr committing a personal foul, his second.
Here's you see the good drive by Maxwell. Rocket defense, Henderson over to try to help out, but Malone just makes a super defensive play, tips it out to Dunleavy. Dunleavy takes off up the court. ML Carr, he slipped. ML Carr came over and did hit him as he was falling.
Here is Dunleavy with his second point. Mike took it upon himself to inject some new offense into this team Sunday, but it's been tough here tonight. 55-37.
Now the Celtics should be careful with the ball this time for the next minute or 2 minutes or whatever it is to make sure that they don't, Houston doesn't get a chance to run off. Doesn't get a chance to run off 6 or 8 points at the end of the quarter like they've done a couple of times.
Billy Paltz committing a personal foul. That'll be his second personal foul. Thus far in this game, Reed has 3, Dunleavy has 3, Willoughby has 3, 3 on Maxwell, and 3 on Roby. Harris with 14 points. Now they say officially he's blocked 2 shots, but it seems to me like he's had more than 2 blocked shots in this game. Here's Kevin McHale coming in, the rookie from Minnesota. As Maxwell will leave with 16 points. And he gets quite an applause here from this Boston Celtic crowd. Billy Paltz brings it down to Henderson. 1.5 minutes left.
And Robert Parrish missed both free throws.
It's one of the few things he hasn't done well. Calvin Garrett into Billy Paltz. You saw Gerald Henderson come up with the steal after reaching in on him. Fine quickness on Henderson's part. ML Carr to Kevin McHale. McHale just checks in. Tries his first shot. Calvin Garrett comes out of there with it to Dunleavy. Calvin Garrett, the rookie from Oral Roberts, doing a pretty good job on the boards and playing good defense. Dunleavy into Pulse. Staying tough on him to Tom Henderson. Two big men up against him. Bird comes out with it. Less than a minute to go, first half. ML Carr.
Outstanding fast break.
They have never run a fast break for this long length of time this effectively. They've had spurts at certain games.
They had that one little stretch there in the second quarter when they let the game get back into Rocket control first 5 or 6 minutes, but they've taken it over since that time to reestablish themselves.
Dunleavy doesn't believe that ball is going to be awarded to the Boston Celtics. That's 6 turnovers now against Houston.
And a 20-second timeout.
The 22nd being called by the Boston Celtics with 33 seconds. And that reminds us, Bill Russell at halftime with Maxwell. I think you may have encouraged him a little bit, got him all excited for tonight after that interview.
No, I think he's been ready ever since the first 2 games when he played poorly. He's been ready to play since then.
Very bright young man. Impressive guy. Well, they tell me he's the dresser on this ball club, too. He dresses fit to the tee.
Quick shot, so
you know, Gary, in order he dresses okay.
Everybody gets
just okay. After seeing what you wore today, I'm not going to listen.
Those guys, the guys on the team were kidding him. They ride him about the way he dresses. He's you know, when he's a real fancy day in the season. But you'll find that these guys are good players. You have to be bright to play this game well. You can't be real dumb. And that's what separates the good players from the players that are not so good is intelligence and the ability to concentrate.
Calvin Murphy has gone to the dressing room. Larry Bird now has 8 points. 59-37. You see the time remaining in this first half. And the Boston Celtics have been impressive. I think that's an understatement. Moses Malone. Power move inside against Parrish. Ripped out of his hand. Bird to Henderson. And that will not count. The time expired before Henderson could get the shot underway. But everything else has worked well for this Celtics team.
Yes, they played an exceptional half. There's ML Carr again, who's played a fine half when he came off the bench. He knocked it away to Bird. Bird to Henderson. You see the clock ran out just before Henderson was able to get it off. But the Celtics are up by 22 at the half.
This lead right now at 22 points, the biggest lead of the first half for the Boston Celtics. They led by as many as 17 in the first period, and Boston is rolling. Remember now, they haven't even scored 100 points in any of the previous 4 games played in this World Championship Series. Last time out, Cedric Maxwell had a career playoff high of 24 points against the Houston Rockets. And what an outstanding job he's doing again tonight with 16 points in the first half. Bill Russell visited with Cornbread today to kind of get an insight on this guy from North Carolina.
Cedric, your mother obviously spent a great deal of time trying to think of a proper name for you. What does she think of people calling you Cornbread?
She didn't really mind at all. I think it's just something that somebody conned up. Some of my friends, when they went to a movie and they saw this movie and they came back and they dubbed me that.
Now here you are in a championship series, and you seem to play better on the road than you do at home.
Well, I think the big thing about when you're playing here at home is that you have a lot of peer pressure. A lot of people know you, and sometimes you have a lot of negative things to affect you because you're here at home and you go out a lot and you see a lot of people. But when you're on the road, sometimes you're able to concentrate and focus in on basketball a little bit more.
Now, in a series like this, which is becoming more and more physical, or seems to be very physical, is there much conversation out there among the players?
A lot of hatred, I think, on both sides right now. I think it's a genuine feeling that both teams have to come out and play hard. I don't think we disrespect them. I don't think they disrespect us, but you just have to do the job, and I'm sure you've been in the pits many times where a lot of elbows are thrown and a lot of name calling, but down the end of the game, when it ends, it's, you're all well and good again.
Oh, in other words, in the heat of battle, you guys really take a dislike for each other?
Heated battle, anything might happen. I mean, it's a situation where you no longer play with the friendship or just knowing the guy. You say, how you doing, Charlie? But at the end, it's like, how you doing, Devil?
What do you see as the biggest difference from your first year and now?
Well, right now I am the elder statesman, but I think the thing about it is that on my first year when I came here, we had a lot of animosity on the team, a lot of turmoil between the players. It's just petty jealousies. We had more talent then my first year on the team with Sidney Wicks, Dave Callens, Havlicek. We just had an all-star type team, JoJo White, Charlie Scott, and down the line. But this year we play with a lot more confidence and togetherness, and there's more of a camaraderie between the players. Not only do we see each other and play well as a team on the court, but we get along well off the court with each other.
What kind of team is this Celtics team?
I think this team is a really emotional team. We play with a lot of emotion. We play with a lot of poise. I think basically the things that we do well, we run with the ball a lot. But we have a lot of characters on this team. A team that really likes to joke around, and when business comes down, we're ready to work. But a lot of times we play so much that sometimes we get confused with business and work.
When you guys started playoffs, did you expect to win a championship?
Well, I had a good idea that we had one of the best teams in the league. I think that you can. I think that you have expectations of what you can do, but a lot of things have to go right. You have to have key players that don't get hurt down the stretch. You have to have confidence in your coach, and just a lot of little things. And I think the little incidents that we had throughout the playoffs kind of made for the spectrum of the team right now, so far as how we've been playing.
Has any of your opponents surprised you?
Houston by far. I think that we came to know what Chicago could do. We were prepared to play them a very physical basketball game. Philadelphia, we just knew that emotionally and physically that this was going to be the biggest test of some of our lives. This Houston team, we've played them 14, 15 times. They beat them 14 to 15 times in a row. So I think that, no one really wanted to say that we took this team lightly, but I think that overall we did. And now we're in with a real hard battle with them, and I think we have a lot of respect for them. And they're a very fine basketball team, and they're capable of winning the championship. But under these conditions and how we've been playing all year, they're not going to beat us.
Brad Maxwell, interview with Bill Russell. And speaking of Bill Russell, there's some great confrontations throughout the year and through the years of the NBA, and that was when Wilt Chamberlain went against Bill. And we're going to have a look at the man called Wilt the Stilt, Wilt Chamberlain, on our rebound feature coming up next. This CBS Sports Special will continue after this word from your local station.
Kenny Wilkins of the Seattle Supersonics. The National Basketball Association supports the work of Variety Clubs International on behalf of underprivileged and handicapped children throughout the world. As a life patron member of Variety, I can tell you that no one stands taller than when stooping to help a child. Stand tall. Give the kids in your area a hand by helping the local Variety Club.
The preceding message has been furnished as a public service by the National Basketball Association.
The Boston Celtics with a 22-point lead. Our rebound feature, Wilt Chamberlain, who one time scored 100 points at a game played in Hershey, Pennsylvania. His lifetime scoring average was over 30 points. A remarkable athlete. Let's take a look at him.
Old Spice presents Rebound. Brought to you by Old Spice Stick Deodorant, the deodorant that works overtime.
Even as a schoolboy in Philadelphia, Wilt Chamberlain seemed to transcend the game. In 1959, he was a territorial draft choice of the Philadelphia Warriors. And in time, Wilt became the strongest player in the history of basketball. He measured at least 7'1", and he set lifetime records for rebounding and scoring, which will never be matched. In 1962, he averaged over 50 points and nearly 26 rebounds a game, highlighting the season by scoring 100 points in a single ball game. 4 times he was the league's MVP, driving Philadelphia to a championship in 1967 and the Lakers to the top in 1972. His offensive repertoire included the powerful dipper dunk, a fadeaway jumper, a stiff-armed hook shot, and the amazing finger roll. Chamberlain was the NBA's supreme talent for 14 years, leading the league 7 times in scoring, 11 times in rebounding, and 9 times in shooting percentage. In 1968, Chamberlain concentrated on passing and led the league in assists. He was always a sensitive man, and sometimes his great talent burdened him. But Wilt Chamberlain's superhuman deeds are accounted among the myths and miracles of pro basketball.
A lot of catch-up basketball for the Houston Rockets, who trail by 22 at halftime. Rick and Bill will be back in a moment to give you some highlights, some insights on what Houston must do to get back in this game, and to take a look at some of the excitement that Boston has created in the first half.
This CBS Sports Special is sponsored by Lowenbrau. When it's time for the taste of a truly great beer, let it be Lowenbrau. New cool smoking Royal Comfort pipe tobacco. And by Firestone, makers of the 721 steel-belted radio.
The Boston Celtics, led by Cornbread Maxwell, who has 16 points and 10 rebounds. And while Larry Bird has only scored 8 points, he has 9 rebounds and 5 assists in this first half. Only one player for the Houston Rockets in double figures. That's Moses Malone with 13. And in this first half, Boston has out-rebounded the Houston Rockets by 10. Let's take another inside look at it through Bill and Rick.
Thank you, Gary. And it seems, Bill, like these teams are taking turns. First game, the Rockets played so well, and then the Celtics came back and won that one in a close one. And it's been swinging back and forth. And we're going to take a look at the highlights here of the first half of this ball game, which were basically mostly highlights of the Boston Celtics. Here you see Tiny Archibald. They're looking to Bird to try to get Bird off early. That was not to be. But Bird sees the man open underneath Chris Ford as he gets double teamed. He lays in the basket. Moses Malone a little bit too late coming off. The men of the hour for the Celtics were Cedric Maxwell and also Robert Parrish, who had great games, both offensively and defensively. Here we're going to see Willoughby make a drive past Bird to the basket. Now watch this great defensive block of the stuff try by Willoughby, who gets knocked down on the play. Just lost his momentum. It was such a great block by Robert Parrish. Bird gets the rebound, gets it off to Tiny Archibald. Tiny takes it down the middle, goes up like he's going to shoot the jumper, finds Maxwell under the basket. Maxwell with a good pump fake. Draws Reed in the air, draws the foul, lays it in the basket. Again, Maxwell and Robert Parrish, the big men for the Celtics in the first half. Here we'll watch, again, the good playing on the part of the Boston Celtics. Right there, Chris Ford knocks the ball out of Murphy on his drive to the basket. There's Larry Bird in the right spot at the right time. Tiny gets it. He doesn't even put it on the floor. He gets it to Maxwell, and Maxwell gets 2 more, and the Boston fast break was in high gear. Now we'll watch M.L. Carr, who came off the bench, make a couple of good defensive plays. Here he comes over to tie Billy Pauls up on the block. It was a jump ball call, and now he makes another good defensive play as we see Mike Dunleavy trying to penetrate on Carr. He has to dish it back off to Garrett. Garrett gives it back to him. There's a screen by Pauls, but Carr gets over the screen, makes the block. Bird gets it off to Henderson. He takes it down the court, lays it in the basket, and it was the Boston Celtics all the way in the first half. They're up by 22. Bill, if you're Del Harris, what do you tell your ball club at halftime?
Well, first of all, the game's not over. You got to try to play this third quarter strong and finish it strong and try to get it back around 10, 8 points going to the last quarter. But it's very important that they don't give up, because if they give up tonight, it'll be very difficult for them to, not only they can't win tonight, it'll be difficult to win the next game. And they've got to win the next game, but this game is not over, not by a long shot. Now, what you got to do in order to win is you got to take control of this game early in the third quarter.
Well, we'll see if the Rockets are able to do that. They've got to go ahead and get more offensive rebounds, take better care of that basketball. Let's go to Gary.
Thank you, gentlemen. As you look at the Boston Celtics, let's take a look now statistically at this first half. Look at the field goal percentage. Boston with 53%, the Rockets with 36%. And as far as the rebounds are concerned, totally in that first half, 10 more rebounds by the Boston Celtics. You see the assists, 14 by Boston, turnovers 11 by Houston. Let's take a look now at the individual scoring in this first half. Maxwell, brilliant first half, 16 points. Along with that, he also had 10 rebounds. Bird had 9 rebounds. Parrish had 5 rebounds to go with those 14 points. Archibald with 6 points. Tiny still struggling. He hit 3 of 7 from the field. As far as Houston is concerned, one man in double figures. Malone with 13. He had 4 rebounds in the first half. Then it was Reed with 8. Now Reed is 3 of 7 again from the field. He's not shooting as well as he would like. Murphy coming in with 4 points. And so, Houston, who's failed to score as many as 20 points in either one of the first 2 quarters of the game, which is indicative of what happened to them in Game 3 when they lost by 23.
Yes, and of course, we pointed out their shooting percentage, again, very poor. Without those offensive rebounds, they are really having trouble. They're struggling. Only 12 baskets inside of 12 feet. The Celtics have 20, and the Rockets are only 2 for 12 outside. The Celtics 4 for 8.
Dunleavy in that first half coming away with only 3 points. Robert Reed lost control of it, and a loose ball foul. If that's on Reed, that would be 4 on him.
That's who it's on, Gary. He went over the back. Picks up his 4th foul. We'll watch the play again. There goes Reed for the shot. He knows that he missed it. He came up short. He went right over the back to try and get the rebound and picked up the foul.
Robert Reed now 3 of 8 from the line. As we mentioned, he's been struggling at times, and again tonight, Larry Bird misses again. Bird now is 3 of 9, and he is now 9 of 31 in the last 3 games.
He's having a tough time getting going, but credit Robert Reed for a lot of that. The Celtics in the first half, by the way, had 17 fast break opportunities. He got 19 points off of them. There's a bad pass by Henderson. It'll be a backcourt violation. When Dunleavy touches it, he lets it go out of bounds.
And so that will give his teammates an opportunity to set up defensively. Turnovers, that's number 12 now against the Houston Rockets.
He may have been better off picking that ball up and making him bring the ball up court so the defense has a chance at it. Because taking him out of baseline, there's a good chance of getting a real good shot where they took it out. But a lot of times, a lot of plays would be a shot off of the out-of-bounds play.
Here's Cornbread, who had an outstanding first half. Archibald, Tiny looking for some help. He is still not very confident with that outside shot, but he's going to try one now. Bird rips it down. Larry Bird, who had 9 rebounds in the first half. Maxwell back out to Ford as they have a fresh 24 seconds. Just underway in the second half. A 22-point lead at halftime by the Celtics. There's Robert Parrish, and Parrish is fouled. Almost had the 3-point play going for him.
Mike Dunleavy picking up the foul.
And you know, with the Rockets, they were rather conscious of Larry Bird, and so they react every time he has the ball.
Well, you saw Paultz go out that time, Bill. That left Parrish open, and Dunleavy tried to pick up the foul. Malone had come over to pick him up, and he could have been called for the foul, too, if it had not been on Dunleavy.
Now, those 2 fouls, one against Reed and one against Dunleavy, put both of them at 4 for this game. So they start out the second half in foul difficulty.
I don't know. We were coming back to get on our headsets. Did you hear the announcement or mention about Calvin Murphy being out? He will not play with the shoulder injury.
Well, we saw that. He did go into the dressing room just before the first half concluded. There's Robert Reed. Larry Bird with a rebound. The Boston Celtics in control right now, playing excellent ball. Here's Archibald. Henderson on him. Off to Robert Parrish. Bird on a power move. Boy, he did that quickly.
That's an excellent pass by Robert Parrish, too, because he led him just right with it.
And Bird was able to use the left hand. It's so important to be able to use your left hand in close to the basket if you're a right-handed player. Well, watch the play coming up again. A simple split off the post. Tiny hits him. He makes the cut. Here comes Bird. Reed a little late getting there. Paultz doesn't react in time. The nice pass and the fine layup with the left hand.
You notice he put that ball right at his chest.
There's a 20-second timeout. 10 points now for Larry Bird. Would you think maybe that the Boston Celtics have regained what maybe they thought they had lost earlier in this series? You got to give a lot of credit to
These games are so inconsistent, though. And you can't tell from one game to another. If you watch that game Saturday, you have to be worried about Houston. And then you come back Sunday and they win the game. So there's no way of going from game to game. There's no way of telling that because there are a lot of factors involved in how the games are played.
Well, that's exactly right. It's so similar to Saturday. Then Sunday you figured maybe Houston was in real trouble and they play it and win it. Don't forget now, Thursday, Game 6 between the Celtics and Rockets from the Summit in Houston. There's Bill Fitch. That back's got to feel a little bit better right now. Wait a minute. Earl Strom indicating Chris Ford was too close on the inbounds. He'll warn him. He'll back him up. And Robert Reed will do it again.
Chris Ford gave a look over there at the table to us and said, I don't even believe he's telling me that.
Reed out to Henderson. I think some of the Celtics have regained their sense of humor. When you have a lead like this, maybe you do.
A lot of things are funny when you got the lead.
Oh, Malone tried to follow tip. Reed, a good hustling effort on his part, playing with 4 personal fouls. Back to Henderson. Look at Willoughby get up. And he walked to the ball.
No, did he walk, but he didn't go anyplace with it.
We'll watch this play again. Here comes Henderson. There's contact against Ford. Could have been a block, maybe a charge. There's Willoughby, just jumps up over Bird, puts it on the floor. He walked with it there, then he walks with it again. So that gave him 2 chances for the price of 1. With the Celtics in control here, 9:33 to go.
Biggest lead of the game, 26 points. At halftime, we had a feature on Will Chamberlain. We thought we'd go back to 1956. We have another halftime feature now starting this third period of play. I got to show you, after our next break in the action, a picture we have. And I don't know if any of you guys will recognize who it is. I'm going to wait and let you be in suspense about it. Bob Stenner, our producer, has gone to a lot of difficulty to come up with it. Now, here it is. Here's this picture. And, Rick, who do you think that guy is there?
I don't know. It looks like some fool over there with that big watermelon grin on the left.
All right.
Who is that guy?
That's you, Bill. Don't you recognize that picture?
Nope.
There's
another one. Who's that guy with that funny-looking hat on?
That's the United States Olympic team.
That's right. 1956 in Melbourne. Well, I'm glad you finally recognized all that.
Hey, listen, it goes back a long, long way, you know what I mean?
Oh, wait a minute.
Look at this guy. Hey.
That was Casey.
Oh.
That wasn't me. That was Casey.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
No.
Wait a minute.
I don't drink beer. I never did.
Okay. I'll go along with that, but I mean, it looked an awful lot like you.
I got a bunch of other ones over here. You might want these things here.
65-37. 9:13 left, and this crowd is fired up here at the Garden. 30 straight sellouts here, better than 15,000 each time. Moses Maloney's foul. Larry Bird committing the personal foul.
Hey, Gary, I just want you to know one thing. I've got that actual picture right in front of me here now, looking at it. That is not K.C. Jones. I got the letter accompanying this, Bill. There was a serviceman who was over there with you in these pictures, and he sent these things. I happened to get them, so I want to hand them over to you.
I want you to know.
With the letter, I'll give it to you later.
I think we better leave it alone.
There you go. I don't know if he wants these. He doesn't even want these. Bill.
Bill, you're not smiling at all.
Don't you want these pictures, Bill?
No, I don't want them.
There's the guy you were trying to blame for all of that, your former teammate, K.C. Jones. What do we tell him? 65-39. Chris Ford. Ford with a 2-pointer, 6 points for Ford, 67-39. 8:40 left in this third period. Robert Reed into Malone, and as he backed in, he's fouled by Robert Parrish. That's going to be the third foul on Robert. Robert with 3, Maxwell with 3. That is the third team foul. Make that the second team foul against the Celtics. Here's Bill Willoughby. Willoughby in trouble. Malone tries to follow, and Parrish comes down with it. Off to Larry Bird. Bird, Maxwell has to bring it out. Well, this team now really playing wide open. Very, very confident. Chris Ford, that was Reed with a reach in. To Henderson, back to Reed. He wanted to stuff it, and he didn't do either one. Reed getting up. Crowd here, of course, a partisan crowd loved that one. Chris Ford missing, Willoughby up, and we're going to have a foul.
Cedric Maxwell, he's down on the floor. Well, he looks like he's okay, just taking his time, get a little blow there.
Well, that's Maxwell that had the foul, too, his third. That's adding insult to injury. You get decked. I see now Reed is getting rid of his taped-up bandage or his thigh wrap. Must be hindering his play because that last time he went up for the stuff, he didn't get up very high, so he's gotten rid of it. He's still getting rid of it. 16 seconds on the shot clock. Moses Malone broken up. Reed has it. And as he goes in, he's fouled. Robert Reed got rid of that bandage in a hurry. That's the foul on Bird, and that's his second. Bill, you're awful quiet right now.
Nothing going on out there.
maybe you were thinking about those pictures. 67-39. Reed at the line. Well, I think your point was well taken. Houston went through this very same scenario on Saturday, came roaring back on Sunday. That's not to say they can't here tonight. They've been counted out so often.
Well, what's important for Dale Harrison and the Houston Rockets is he cannot let them quit tonight. No matter what the score is, he cannot let them quit and give up. They have got to play the second half expecting to make a miracle.
Maxwell with 20 points.
But you can't give up, no matter what.
Billy Paultz with that in mind scores at the other end. 69-44. And upon the basketball traveling on Boston. Bill Fitchup yelling something into Maxwell, and that will give it back to the Celtics. 13 turnovers against Houston, 7 against Boston in this game. Here is Henderson. Henderson's had a tough time offensively with 2 points tonight, 2 points Sunday. Holtz battling for it. Henderson giving chase, but he can't save it. The Celtics will get it back, and we're going to have a timeout by the Boston Celtics. 6 minutes, 48 seconds left to go in this third period. As right now, Game 5 firmly in the grasp of the Boston Celtics, going for their 14th flag. Boston Celtics trying to become the first team since 1971-72 to win the title after posting the best regular season record. That was the Lakers that year, who won 69 games while losing 13 and then went on to win the title in 1971-72. It hasn't been easy. Look at the shooting with 2 of 12 for Houston.
What the
43 is not really outstanding.
What the Rockets are going to do is start to put in their trapping defenses. Dell has a lot of different traps, full court, three-quarter, half-court traps, and they're going to try and speed up the tempo of this game to see if they can score some points and get in with it by coming up with some steals. There you see him applying it.
Now, what you have to do to avoid real problems with the trapping defense is not throw the cross-court pass. You give a lot of fakes, but you don't throw the cross-court pass because that's right in the passing lanes. And what I mean is, the areas where you can get to the lane where you can get the ball from one guy to the other as a lane through there, through the defenses, and you've got to keep changing those. And the worst thing you can do is make the cross-court pass.
Bird, I guess that's a pass. It got over to Cedric Maxwell. Maxwell now with 22 points.
Bad guess.
It was a shot. Anyway, the end result paid off. Major Jones is now checked in for the Houston team. Look at the turnovers, 13-7, and every time Houston's led in that department, they've lost. That will be off of Boston.
Another thing you need to do, Gary, when they trap in that situation is try to keep a man behind the ball and don't go run into the man with the ball and bring another defender over that way so they can double team.
Reed misses, has his own rebound. An update if you're wondering about Calvin Murphy, who was hurt in that first half. They are going to take x-rays of the shoulder, the injury he sustained in that first half. But at this particular time, not expected to play the remainder of this game. Here is Bird. Larry Bird, he's made 2 excellent baseline moves in this second half. He has 12 points. 73-46, that's off of Houston.
There's that move by Bird. He gets by Henderson to the baseline. Takes it up in the air, goes by Willoughby. Nice control of the body. Super reverse layup on the glass. That is not an easy shot.
Bird with 12 points, but the high point man is Maxwell with 22. Parrish with 16. So they have 3 men in double figures. Here is Larry, hits Chris Ford. Reed jumps out on him. Broken up by Willoughby. 15 turnovers now against Houston. This young man, though, has really found a niche with this Houston team. He's played very well. They consider him to be maybe the best pure jumper in the league. He can really get up in the air. There's Maxwell's statistic of 22 points. He had 24 the last time. Major Jones at 6'9", trying to stay with him. 9 seconds on the shot clock. 5 minutes to go, third period. Maxwell has another rebound and another 2 points and a chance for a three-point play. And this crowd loves it.
Cedric Maxwell having an outstanding game.
They're standing and applauding. And Del Harris is not applauding.
He doesn't see anything to applaud.
Cedric with 24. So that ties. If he hits this one, it'll be a career playoff high for him. Well, he's still got time to do that. 4:53 left in this third period. Moses Malone out to Tom Henderson. Into Malone. And Bird reached in on him, and Bird has committed a foul. Larry Bird now with 3 personals.
Now Moses made a good strong move to the basket that time. He made it quick also. Bird, who was the weak side forward defender, came in to try to pick him up and take the ball away and picked up the foul.
That puts the penalty in effect for Moses Malone. You know, we mentioned at the top of the show, in the Boston Garden, Houston has won only 4 times here in 14 years. They're only 19-54 against the Celtics in their 14-year history, but there's been a lot of teams on the short end of a series with this Celtic organization. What a history, what a tradition they have here. Talking to Red Auerbach today, and he was telling me that that floor that they're playing on was first used in 1942.
Well, that means that Red doesn't waste anything, does it?
And he said we kept our uniforms the same. He says that's part of the mystique here, and it certainly is. You see a game on TV and you see that floor, you know instantly where you are. You wouldn't even have to have any players on the court. 4.5 minutes left in the third period. Maxwell with 24. Boston in no hurry now.
And Larry got away with a cross-court pass that Moses had a chance to go and pick off, but he was guarding the basket that time.
Archibald under some pressure. Rebound by Major Jones. Jones a good rebounder for this team. Off to Willoughby. Bill Willoughby. Malone with the rebound and batted out by Tiny. Houston will set it up.
You know the old saying goes, when things go bad, they're not going good.
I think that's kind of an understatement right now. There's Allen level. Archibald staying on him. 18 seconds on the shot clock as they throw it away again. 16 turnovers. Well, what was it we said over the weekend when they lost by 23? Get it out of your system. Well, they did the last time, and Houston right now might be thinking the same way. Larry Bird. Malone with the rebound. You got to admit, though, they're still hustling. Level. They try to follow.
Well, it's just unbelievable that they can't seem to get anything to work for them. They can't make the dunk shots. Reed missed one. Willoughby missed one. It's just one of those games for the Rockets. And again, as you pointed out, Gary, get it out of their system. They'll bounce back. It's been 0-0 to start a game number 6 Thursday night down in Houston.
I'll tell you right now, though, Houston's wondering. 75-48. Now, the game they lost by 23, they scored only 71 points. That tied a championship final playoff record. Malone off to level. 3 minutes now left. You look at the Celtic bench. Level almost turns it over. Brings it out to Willoughby. Maxwell, who's all over the place. He still has the ball, but he went out of bounds with it. Houston will get it back with 2:58. We have a timeout. Let's look back at this play.
You see Allen Level takes it to the basket. Bounces off. Now Willoughby goes up for the stuff. Loses the ball. Bounces off the back of the rim. And things just aren't going the Rockets' way tonight.
basketball. It's a moving experience.
The preceding announcement was furnished by the National Basketball Association. Bill, we've been talking about the players, their attitude. Well, as a coach, what kind of stiff upper lip do you have to have right now if you're Del Harris of the Houston Rockets?
Well, you try to do some good things and things that you can almost practice tonight on what you want to do for the next game.
That's not one of them.
No. Now, the thing is, he can't let his... It's a very borderline situation right now with Houston. They're so far out of it that they might give up. And giving up at a time like this can be very bad because you can't turn it on, turn it off. You got to figure out a way, okay, on what we're going to do to beat these guys. And if you give up, you say, you may take the attitude, we can't beat these guys.
In all fairness to Del Harris, he has really adjusted well throughout the playoffs, so it'll be his move the next time. Chris Ford has the shot clock expired. It'll count.
Well, you know, tonight before the game, I think that Houston was aware because of all the things that are going on between these two cities now, that their attitude was they thought that Bird was going to come out shooting, trying to prove he could score. And they may have overreacted to that. And so that he accomplished something without having to do anything.
Being a decoy of sorts?
Yes.
That basket was awarded to Major Jones after the goaltender.
You know, one thing has happened in the series, in these games, in the games that the Rockets have won, I think the guys made a mistake. They did too much talking after the game. And I do think that when you start saying things like Moses said and some of the other players after they won game number 2, that gets the other team really inside. It's a good move by Major Jones up the middle. And they may be doing it to help themselves, but I think they're also helping the other team. And I know that these players know the things that were said after game number 4 when the Rockets came back to win.
Well, and some people felt that Boston had talked too much at the start of the series, remember?
Exactly. It works both ways. I mean, it's not just a one-way street. And you really should stay with that underdog position that the Rockets had. That's the role that you want to be in. There's a foul in the backcourt by Tiny Archibald.
Well, this guy's done a pretty good job since coming in, Major Jones.
Well, Major works hard all the time, and his job is to get in on the boards, play some tough defense against the big, strong forwards. But he hasn't had much playing time to get a shot at Bird going to the bench.
Bird leads now with 12 points. 1:22 left in this third period. Major Jones, a brother of Caldwell, one of 6 brothers to play at Albany State. There's Rudy Tomjanovich checking in. This guy's played in 5 All-Star games, 4 in a row, and he could score 52 points thus far in this game for this Houston club with 1:22 left in the third period. Major coming back from some off-season knee surgery. Quite a Jones family, isn't it? His brother Oliver was the coach at Albany State. Imagine when they go home over the holidays, what kind of a basketball game they could have.
You'd love to tell people, I can tell you that.
It'd be tough keeping up with the Joneses, huh?
I don't even know how to react to that. 77-53. Now the pressure again, the trapping defense as mentioned earlier. Kevin McHale off to Cedric Maxwell, and Maxwell will bring it back out.
Now what the Celtics are doing is not good. They're just trying to beat the press. And what you should do when you beat the press, they're not getting good shots.
Well, now, I suppose you could turn this around, Bill. You talk about Houston practicing for the next game, but Boston can't forget what they're doing well either. You can't go back in and then try to turn it on again, huh? Level off to Tomjanovich. 47 seconds left in this third period. Intended for Major Jones. Parrish to Chris Ford, and that'll be thrown away.
He made a pass just like that Sunday, only even higher. And they are not, this press is hurting them because they're just trying to get the ball in the front court. And when you attack a press, it's after you get the ball in the front court before they get a chance to set up because there's a mismatch involved.
Well, everybody's having a tough time with their footing out here, aren't they?
Of course, 42, you know, 1942.
They didn't make wood like they do today, right?
They don't make wood like that anymore.
Here is level. Major Jones, look out. Heine paid for that. There's no foul. 77-55, and that's going to end it here in the third period. But, in the credit to the Houston Rockets, they made a little spurt there at the end. They only had 48 points, bumped it to 55. We have 12 minutes left in this game. 77-55. This CBS Sports Special will continue after this word from your local station. This is a local paper, this morning's paper. They respect the Rockets now. I don't know if that's an exclamation point or a question mark. They got them fired up anyway, and Game 6 will be coming your way Thursday night. Austin against the Houston Rockets in the state of Texas.
There's that last play. Major Jones, he's committed now. There's Tiny. He saw he was overrunning a little bit, and he moved back just to get underneath Major Jones on that play, and I feel there should have been a foul on that play. Whether they wanted to call it a charge or a block, even though it really was a block, something should have been called.
We start the fourth quarter. The biggest lead of this game, 29 points by the Boston Celtics. Now with a 77-55 lead, partially blocked by Malone as the shot clock expired.
I'll tell you one thing, the Celtics are not playing good right now. They are not playing Celtic-type basketball. As Bill pointed out, when they break the press, they're not going up and attacking the basket and putting the pressure on the Rockets. And stranger things have happened. Not that they're going to come back from 22 points down, but you never know what might take place. They've got to reassert themselves here.
He starts the fourth quarter, the man he had in the third quarter, Major Jones and Tom Janovich, resting some of the others. Jones had 7 points in that third period. And look at this.
The easy one.
Houston still hasn't scored 20 points in any of the previous 3 quarters. That's what happened to them in that game when they lost by 23. Maxwell is fouled.
What they could do right now, the Celtics, that is, and the Rockets are doing everything in their power to try to get back in this game with the good pressure on the defense, and they've been playing better basketball late, as the Celtics would like to reassert themselves now and attack them and try to crush them totally and take any ray of hope that the Rockets might have, any glimmer of hope, out of any thoughts that are going through their mind right now.
The way they're playing now with the lead at 22 and maybe 24 points, if they keep playing the same way, the Rockets can get back into the game. And when I mean back into the game, if they get into that last 3 minutes, only down 10 points or something like that, because at this point, the Celtics are not reacting very well to that full court press. Now, maybe they'll straighten it out now.
You think we'll see that then at Game 6? You think Houston might come out in that full court press?
Oh, no, I don't think they have enough personnel to do it for a full game.
That's going to be off for the Boston Celtics. Inside 11 minutes left in the game.
And one thing Henderson's doing, he's making Allen Level go to his left. He is not as effective going to his left.
Robert Reed to Tom Janovich. Moses still working hard, and Robert Parrish has fouled him.
Well, they have no reason to be moaning about that call. Robert gave him a 2-hand shove before he actually took the shot, and then they called him with the body afterwards.
You know, sometimes on those fouls, you can foul a guy, and you really don't believe you did it. And then you see the film of it, and you realize you really did, and then sometimes the guy will sincerely believe that he didn't foul a guy.
You think that was the situation here?
I know it happens. I don't know if it's happened in that particular situation, but I know that can happen. You can just give a guy, especially with the body, and you say, I didn't do it.
20 points now for Moses Malone. That foul, by the way, was Parrish's 4th. Both he and Maxwell have 4. Henderson off to Maxwell.
Hands up!
You can hear Del Harris yelling in the background. He still trying somehow to get this clock to come back. That'll be off of Houston. 24 seconds on the shot clock as ML Carr will inbounds the ball. Carr into Parrish. Tom Janovich reaches in, and it'll be off of Robert Parrish. So Houston will come up with a basketball.
They're called the blue point now. That's going to be Allen Level going one-on-one. There's a backcourt foul right now on Henderson. And Murphy, you see him all bundled up. He's got his arm, looks like, in a sling under the jacket.
Boy, it didn't look good, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Now his arm is hanging straight down out of the jacket, but he is quite immobile. Probably wrapped up in ice, I would think.
Calvin was hit by Rick Roby. If you did not see that play in the first half, they're going for a loose ball on the baseline. And Roby committed the foul, but Murphy sustaining the injury. Allen Level at the line at the 10:34 mark of this fourth quarter. 79-57. Level now with 3 points. Again, that trapping defense. As Bill Russell said, it's been pretty effective. Maxwell, Major Jones on him. Again, you hear Del Harris in the background. McHale. Boy, this guy hasn't quit playing hard, has he? Malone is playing just as hard as he did at the start of the game. 79-57. Level in trouble out to Reed.
Well, Moses doesn't know, but it's one way to play, Gary.
There he is chasing that ball down. It'll be off of the Rockets. We're going to have a timeout. Less than 10 minutes to go in Game 5 here in the Boston Garden. The Rockets, who have trailed by as many as 29, gamely fighting, but they got a long ways to go. Commissioner Lawrence O'Brien, who's been attending these NBA World Championship finals. Calvin Murphy, we have an update on his injury. He's not even sure what's wrong with it, but he says he's in a great deal of pain, and I suspect that after the game they'll have to look at him a little closer. But it does not look good for the guard of the Houston Rockets. There he is at the end of the bench. Young man with him is John Stroud, who was their top draft choice this year out of Mississippi.
And the fellow in front of him, if you didn't tell everybody, was the Dark Horse, the equipment manager for the Rockets. Let's give them all a shot.
What was his name?
The Dark Horse.
The Dark Horse?
Right.
What's his real name?
I have no any idea. That's David.
ML Carr, Robert Reed, to Tomjanovich. Rebound, Cedric Maxwell. Celtics now pushing it up a little bit. They quit running there for a while after that sensational start to this game. Robert Parrish hits again. He has 18.
That's where you break that out. You get it down on the press, and they don't have a chance to set up, and you get good shots like that. And that's what you have to do.
I think Red's very, very relaxed at this particular stage. Billy Paultz, rebound, Allen Level. Whoa! I think that was supposed to be a pass. And Carr is fouled by Level, and Carr not happy about it. And we're going to have a technical on ML Carr. Earl Strom slapped him with a technical after the foul on Allen Level.
There's a beautiful pass by Henderson. Allen Level goes up and takes a pretty darn good foul against Carr. Grabs onto him. He was trying to hold him from going into the crowd, and then Carr took him and threw him out of the way. And Earl Strom called a technical foul.
Level will shoot the technical at the other end before they shoot the personal foul.
Well, I guess they call technicals when you push people out of the way and not throw punches at them, huh?
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying they threw a punch in the last game. They didn't call a technical on that one, but now they did for a little bit of a shove.
Different set of referees. What's that? It's a different set of referees.
I want to say this. There's two fine young men in Carr and Level. Gotten to know them a little bit, and I know that as they shake hands there, it's all behind them right now. 82-58. Jim Foley, who is the public relations director of the Houston Rockets, wanted us to pass along the win or lose. The Houston Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring a Rockets rally in downtown Houston. That'll be noon Friday. Of course, we have another game yet. That would be Game 6 Thursday. Level off to Rudy Tomjanovich. Henderson commits a foul. Almost pulled the steal off. That's 3 fouls on Henderson. There's Billy Paultz.
A nice scratch across the arm. He probably comes up with a few bruises, a few scratches, and assorted other ailments after every one of these games.
What were they saying? He has the funniest body in the NBA?
He's a very funny guy, actually.
Here is Billy. He's not very happy right now. Tomjanovich. Rebound, Billy Paultz. He'll reload again. And Rudy gets one. Tomjanovich, his first 2 points. 8:30 left in this game. 83-60. Maxwell out to Henderson. Kevin McHale. Tomjanovich playing tough defense on him. What? Robert Parrish. Rebound. ML Carr, and they have a fresh 24 seconds. You know, McHale hasn't scored in this game, and he only had 4 points the last game. Stop and think about it. You would expect him to have to score more and play more, maybe, for Boston to be winning. There's a foul. That foul on Level. That
that's his second personal. Well, Del Harris is probably sitting and saying, okay, we've got game 6 ahead. We've always been able to make adjustments. We did them against L.A., San Antonio, Kansas City. We've done it against this Boston team. We've got to go back to the drawing board again.
Remember, the Rockets have not lost 2 games in a row in any of their playoff matches so far.
That's right. There's McHale. There's Casey Jones and Jimmy Rogers behind Bill Fitch. Casey has played on 8 NBA title teams. Maxwell now with that basket with 28 points, a career playoff high, breaking the record he set Sunday with 24. Level scores. 85-62. Level with 6 points in the game. Maxwell to Henderson. Coming out of there with it is Maxwell. Boy, this guy has done it all. I don't know if he can play any better than he's played tonight. He was the guy against Philadelphia that did such an outstanding job defensively. McHale, he's fouled. A penalty in as, look at this, 28 points and 15 rebounds.
Who do you think he is, Moses?
A standing ovation.
Moses has just gone to the bench. Robert Reed, Mike Dunleavy, Level, Paltz, and Tom Janovich now in. And Moses Malone finally gets to sit down and rest.
He played 48 minutes Sunday. In 2 games this year, he's played 48 minutes. So he will sit down and prepare for game 6. McHale again. This crowd is really excited right now.
They're giving Maxwell a standing ovation.
Continuing standing ovation. Well, if Boston would win Thursday, they wouldn't get to see their team at home again. McHale with the rebound. Kevin McHale off to M.L. Carr. McHale tips once, twice. That's what he's so effective in doing, is keeping up on those offensive boards. 6.5 minutes left in this game. Dunleavy, 3-pointer. Rebound Carr. Dunleavy in this game has only scored 3 points after getting 28 on Sunday. Halts with the rebound. Bird tries to reach in on him. We approach 6 minutes. There's Red Auerbach. And Del Harris has asked for a timeout. 85-62. The Boston Celtics, who've won 6 in the home stretch in the home season thus far in the playoffs. This CBS Sports Special will continue after this word from your local station. Terry Durod, who came in briefly in a couple of games earlier, an excellent outside shooter. He was a man who was picked up from the Dallas Mavericks. And right now, he must be thinking, what an opportune time to join this ball club. He could be playing on a world championship club. But a lot still to be decided, which brings us to Thursday night, which will be game 6 from the Summit in Houston. And the Rockets have come from behind and been struggling uphill before this year. Willoughby, and a foul on Kevin McHale.
I'll tell you that Willoughby, one of those players, Bill, he has so much great natural abilities. It's just a matter of him learning to take it, harness it, and use it properly. And if he ever learns to do that, he can be quite a force.
He came out of high school the same year as Moses and also Darryl Dawkins. The other two found success right away. He's had a long struggle to get there.
I'll tell you one thing, I would have paid a lot of money to be able to have the jumping ability that Willoughby had. Sure, it would have been nice to be able to jump over some people and try, instead of having to try to outsmart them. Made it tough.
Boy, I don't know how you ever survived in this league, huh? 85-63. Henderson, level on him. You see, that's Del Harris now yelling some defensive instructions in. McHale, Willoughby trying to stay with it. Nice move by McHale. M.L. Carr. Rick Roby, and a foul. That foul is going to go on McHale. Now, check that. I'm sorry, on Dunleavy. That will be 5 on Dunleavy. Dunleavy with 5. We have 4 on Reed.
You know, Mike Mike didn't really come out and look to be quite as offensive-minded in this game as he did in the game on Sunday. Along with that, he also got a couple of quick fouls against him, and Dell elected to go to his bench early in this particular ball game. And it's a situation where sometimes, even if you get a foul or two on you, you might still want to go back and do what you were so successful with, and he never really had a chance to do it.
You can tell things are going bad for Houston. Rick Roby just made 2 free throws in a row.
87-63, level, penetrating. That's what he does so well for this Houston ball club. Roby just too far under that time. 5 minutes, 20 seconds left. Dunleavy at the other end. And it may be offensive goaltending, or I should say defensive goaltending on the part of Rick Roby.
You see the shot by Dunleavy. It has no chance to go in. It's starting to come off, actually. It was going to fall out, but it was still within the cylinder as Roby touched the ball. Good shot from the behind the back camera. Behind the backboard camera. I'll get it right.
And we have a foul. Is that on Dunleavy? That is. That's 6 on him.
And you're only allowed 5.
What do you mean you're only allowed 5?
You get 6, they put you out of the game.
All right.
Well, you can have 6, but you don't get to play anymore.
Anyway, he's fouled out. All right.
You want to keep playing and having fun.
Well, it's a vast departure from what he had on Sunday. 5 points as opposed to 28 and fouling out of the ball game. He played 45 minutes in Sunday's game. But that doesn't mean that he can't come back and have that kind of a game Thursday. ML with 5:09 left in this game. You know, if it would ever come back to a 7th game here in the Boston Garden, if you look to see how effective the Celtics have been, they are 9-1 in 7th games played in the Boston Garden.
Now that's a home court advantage.
You got no business losing at home.
Well, this team right now will agree with you. The Celtics, after losing game 2 here, not letting it happen tonight.
You hear that crowd? They're not booing, but they're asking for do-rod. They want do-rod in the game.
ML. 91-87. I think the Celtics would like to score 100 points. They haven't in this entire series. They've held the Celtics to an average of 88.8 points the previous 4 games. The Rockets have held opponents to less than 100 points the last 9 games, which is an NBA record. There's Durod, the man that Rick was referring to. 91-69.
Notice how he's sitting on the bench and putting his head out beyond the other players. He wants to make sure if Fitch looks that way that he can see him.
Says, Coach, I'm ready.
Doing a little stretching there to get ready. Come off the bench ready to fire it up. 4:14 left in this game. Look at Roby. And Billy Paul's pushing in there. They get it to Roby, and Roby having a difficult time as he moves in on the baseline area, and he's fouled. Look at the stats on this man. 28 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 of 13 from the field.
It's not a bad night's work.
Now, if Roby makes 2 more free throws in a row, Houston has really had a horrendous night.
All right, there's one of them. You can hear the crowd react.
If he makes this, Houston has what you call buzzard luck. Can't kill anything and won't anything die.
You said it. That fan realizes it, I think. Rick Roby now with 8 points. 4 of those coming from the free throw line. 93-69. Kevin McHale off to Larry Bird. Less than 4 minutes. Look at this crowd. They're ecstatic. 5 Boston players are now in double figures. There's Eric Bernstein who will be checking in as we have a timeout. 3:44 left in this game, and the Boston Celtics are enjoying this game. Sandy Gross Grossman, our director, has sent the cameraman up in the stands, up in the rafters now, to take a look at one of those 13 World Championship flags, and they hope to add their 14th.
And the one in the upper left-hand corner was the very first one.
Was what?
The very first one.
95-69. One thing Houston has to be aware of is that they still could set a record here for low in the playoff series scoring-wise, because 69 points is 2 below 71 the record. Henderson broke it up by level. They tied that on Saturday, and they don't want to break the record.
Oh, they got enough time to get another bucket.
I would think so. With 3:26 left, there's Bird. You can see Larry did not shoot that well from the field again. 5 of 16.
But he still came up with double figures in boards, and he had 8 assists. And again, he contributed in his way.
He sure did. He was 6 of 22 in the last 2, 5 of 16 tonight. Kevin McHale.
Another thing, too, when you have a player like Maxwell having the great game he had, and also Parrish, Bird wasn't necessary for him to score 20 points tonight.
97-69, less than 3 minutes. Henderson to Calvin Garrett. Billy Paltz. And now they have the 71 points, and now Boston has to think about getting 100 to break that long string of 9 straight teams, or 9 straight games that Houston's held teams to less than 100. That's broken up. They held the Kansas City Kings to below 90 points in all 5 of those games. Del Harris is just as soon, I'm sure, these remaining 2.5 minutes, he left us in a hurry. We're getting ready to send in Terry Durod. That's what that's all about. Look at him. Rick Roby hit a shot from outside. It's 99-71. There's Terry from the University of Detroit. Tom Henderson. Bernston brings it down. Up to Gerald Henderson. Now they're trying to go over 100 points. McHale lost it. Houston will have it at the 2:14 mark, and here comes Terry Durod. Teammates call him Dudley Durod, or Do for short.
If he scores a basket, the crowd will go crazy.
He's been a pretty good outside shooter. He had 6 of 10 3-point plays during the regular season. Billy Paltz, Allen Level, rebound Kevin McHale. And again, they can go over the century mark. Henderson to Kevin McHale. They're in no hurry with now 1:42. Eric Bernston tries to go up, broke it up. It's off the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, Tom Henderson standing out of bounds. They got 5 seconds
on the shot clock when the inbounds is. That's broken up and out of bounds.
And they'll get it 5. If it's down to 4, they'll get 5.
They'll add a second. You know, this crowd is just waiting for the Celtics to go over or at least match 100 points. And Durod may be the man. Nope. Rejected that time by Major Jones. Billy Paltz. That's a tough shot for that big guy. And it's now 99-73. Houston now has 2 men in double figures. Malone being one with 20. Paltz the other with 10. Durod, double team. And this place is happy now. Durod has scored and they've gone over 100. So they break that long dry spell of not scoring at least 100 points in the first 4 games. There'll be a foul on Gerald Henderson. 1:05 left. 4 fouls on Henderson. Del Harris is probably saying we had the same situation Saturday.
No, that's not what he's saying.
And we got to do it again.
That's not what he's saying.
What's he saying?
He says, I got to think of something. Quick.
By Thursday.
Can you believe that Sandy Grossman, our producer, just said to me that the dude done doed it?
Who said that?
Our director, Sandy Grossman. He won an award, and he said something like that to me in my earphone.
Well, that doesn't mean that he can talk just because he can direct. 101-74. McHale, they continue to play that full court trapping defense. Well, this crowd here is really enjoying this situation. And I'm sure the fans in Houston are not. Broken up. That will be off of Houston. The 5 seconds again on the shot clock. 81-74. There's Eric. Into Durant again. Rebound, Eric Fernston. He's fouled. They'd like to see Eric get on the scoreboard. Foul is going to go on Major Jones, his second. Here's Eric. This is an interesting guy. He's not a bad basketball player.
No, he's not. He was one of the guys that we were talking about with all the fouls that they could use and guard Rosen alone and still have someone that can play with. And he can play.
He's out of Oakland and out of your alma mater, San Francisco. Fourth-year man. He played over in Italy. Very intelligent young guy. And he's on the scoreboard. Every Boston player now has scored in this game.
Now, you don't have bad players in the NBA. It's just a matter of some are better than others.
That's exactly right. There's one of the best. Moses. He doesn't look very happy. Tom Henderson. 103-76. 30 seconds left. Durant. DeRoby. Boston Celtics are running it up now. 105-76. So this will be a more severe beating than they handed Houston on Saturday. Allen Level. Nice play by Level. Level with 10 points. All right, as we come to the end here, Rick and Bill, as Mateo follows. What about Game 6? We talked about it. Can Houston come back?
Yes, they definitely can come back. They'll have to be ready to play, though. The question is, how much damage will this game do psychologically?
Rick?
I think they certainly can come back. The Celtics are going to be tough, though.
Harry Durant scores again. He has 4 points. And our final score is 109-80. The Boston Celtics take a 3-2 lead, and they're 1 game away from winning their 14th NBA World Championship. As Game 6 will be coming up Thursday. And we'll be bringing you that game from the Summit in Houston as the Rockets, who have lost by 2 big margins in 3 of those losses thus far. Our producer, Robert Stenner. Our director, Sandy Grossman. Rick Sharp, our associate producer. Associate directors, Mike Burks and Rich Nelson. Jesse Ranier, Ed Ambrosian. Our technical supervisor, Sandy Bell and Mark Radulovich. So be with us for Game 6, Thursday night. Boston against the Houston Rockets as the Celtics now lead 3-2. For Rick Barry and Bill Russell, I'm Gary Bender. This sports special is a presentation of CBS Sports.